Hello. Today in my studio, I'm going to show you a block-in drawing that I did for a iris drawing called Inner Glow. This drawing was about 15 by 17 inches. I've got the drawing taped onto a board with the original next to it. Normally when I start the first stage of a block-in drawing, I would do what's called a large envelope around the whole drawing, which is usually 4 or 5 long edges or lines. In this case, I decided to break the floral up into 3 large shapes, that large upper petal and the 2 side petals. And so I'm working on 3 large shapes simultaneously. I think that will just make the larger envelope shape easier and quicker and more efficient. It's hard to see the block-in at this stage because I'm working so light. My lines are all very light and soft. There's reasons for a lot of the things that I do with block-in and how I was trained, and I'll explain those as I go, along with other block-in videos that I'll show also. It's really a method that has changed my artistic practice. I never learned how to draw when I grew up. I really didn't enjoy drawing, but I finally realized years into my artistic practice that to be a good painter, you need to be a good drawer, because painting is essentially drawing. And I don't know, I just felt like it was something I needed to learn. I wanted to dive into, and I wanted to learn to enjoy it. And so I took a sabbatical in 2020 from painting and decided to spend the next few years just focused completely on drawing. And just that act alone completely revolutionized my painting practice also. Without training or increasing my skill in painting, it made a huge difference. So I was very pleasantly surprised. Now I love drawing. To me, it's an exploration. It's relaxing. It's intently focused, and it's something I can hone for the rest of my life now that I've built up the skills and the problem-solving abilities. So there's so much I could say about this, but I'll get back to the actual block-in. So again, I'm working with all straight lines. I never use curved lines as I draw. I'll just continue to facet straight lines, smaller and smaller, shorter and shorter, till they convey curves. It's very difficult for the human eye to discern curves. It's much easier to facet them with straight lines and build up the curves, or the curve of a structure. I'm also, as I work on those 3 large shapes and begin to hone those in, I'm using long sweeping arm motions for my lines. I'm going past intersecting edges. It's just a way to force my eyes to keep moving and roaming and zoomed out instead of zooming in on any certain point at any given time. So it's hard to force my eyes to do something or tell my eyes to do something. Instead, I force my arm and my hand and the pencil to work in a certain way that causes the eyes to have to follow. So you'll see also with this, and it's sped up by 2, or 2 times the speed. It'll increase as it gets further along. But you'll notice I'm bringing the whole block-in up to the same level all over. So I'm not working one certain area. If I find myself focusing too much into one certain area or starting to get into too much detail, I will force myself to stop in that area and move on to another. And basically, it's a whole process of bracketing shapes and trying to find proportions and sense or intuit proportions and shapes and sizes and widths and lengths and everything compared to everything else. I don't know where any of these edges will be, where any of these marks will go. It's all the process of exploring that. So I know when I go into a block-in drawing, it's going to take a while. I'm going to work very focused. It's very mentally and physically challenging, draining, but also to work relaxed and not get frustrated. And if I find myself doing that or getting tense, then it's time to take a break and step away for a few minutes. And even that can really refresh your eyes and your mind, and you can keep going. Now here the video is sped up. This whole block-in took me roughly, I think, an hour and a half. And as I continue again, I'm still working everything up to the same level, not overworking any areas. I'm stepping back often. You can't see that so much in the footage. I'm working at about arm's length away and shoulder height so my arm doesn't get strained. Again, there's so much more I'll share with this. There's so much to this practice to learn. A lot of it is repetition, just putting in time, doing multiple drawings, but it is a very learnable skill. Once I get this drawing in, which is actually done on tracing paper, this is not on drawing paper, I just have that behind that I'm using to pad the drawing. Once it's traced or it's drawn out on tracing paper, then I will transfer it onto my good drawing paper. I'm not going to do the block-in on my good drawing paper. I don't want to, ruin it with any scuff marks, because you get quite a little messy with block-in, and I don't want that pressure of having everything to be pristine. So I transfer all my drawings onto my good paper or canvas or linen, whether it's painting or drawing. That was the finished drawing, Inner Glow. Thank you for joining me.